It's just 2 more years. Just give it 2 years and the tech will be there. And every 2 years, it's 2 more years. It's like the holy grail we're all chasing with virtual reality and augmented reality. But do we really have to wait for more breakthroughs, or is there tech which we can use today? I spoke about this with Sirr Less, a product management legend from Silicon Valley. And if you're also interested why he lives in a yurt, then please check out the full video. I have with me Sirr Less. You've been a venerated product designer, product manager. You describe yourself as a middle-aged tech guy from Northern Cali and a frustrated creative dedicated to the future. Is that as complete as the description goes?
Well, you left off the part where I live a very practical life in the moment. But yeah, otherwise, yeah.
Plus, you live that life in a yurt. The space behind you is a yurt. Tell me about that.
My family and I moved to Marin at the onset of the pandemic. We bought a house that was crumbling, but it had a pristine yurt. So who could resist? Sits on a hillside, and it is a wonderful place to work. It was originally supposed to be my wife's because she does art design and fabrication, but she didn't want to be that far away from the kids. So I got it.
You got the perfect yurt lifestyle. And we have Jan here as well. Jan, founder and CEO of Beem. And you have been doing a bit more work together recently. How often have you been to the yurt yet, Jan?
I've been to the yurt twice, I believe. Yeah, it's a really, really peaceful and tranquil space to iterate, to discuss challenges, and to be creative around Sirr's expertise and what we're doing at Beem.
Now, Sirr, you've been around the block for quite some time in Silicon Valley, and you've seen the up and downs. Right now, there is less money flowing into startups. What do you observe? How does that change the way products are built and managed at the moment?
I'm not sure it changes the way products are built and managed. I think it's a dynamic system. And as I said moments ago, it responds to emotion. I think, like everybody, venture capital and private equity is currently managed by people. And, as people encounter uncertainty, they become more cautious. But I think that as they sort of accept the new normal, or as circumstances shift in the world, that will change again. And that money will flow, because one thing people don't get sick of is gambling, and the other one is infectious ideas. So when you combine the two, they tend to have a comeback.
You like to work on infectious ideas. How do you know this could be one, not just for me, but for millions, if not billions of people?
I don't, and that's the beauty of it. I think that when you work in this kind of a world, you become really, really comfortable with uncertainty, and you begin to look for possibilities in a very optimistic way. And so little things can encourage that optimism. One of the things that I feel optimistic around with Beem is that it's, while a lot of folks have worked toward AR experiences and interactions, they tend to come at it from a systemic approach. They want full volumetric capture. They want everything to exceed the non-existent standard of AR and VR. But Beem is something that can be deployed currently. It's lightweight, and it works with the systems that are in place now. And being able to take that kind of a humble approach is really where a lot of the apple carts get overturned and the underdogs come out shining. So I think that this is a huge concept wrapped in a practical implementation, and that's one of the things that has really encouraged me about it. Another thing is, the vision behind it. I mean, Jan is consistently coming to the table with a new sense of how this works and what it applies to, and I think we see some practical results in that the folks responding to that vision are excited, and some of those folks are very, very cautious. So that's a good sign too.
So your first interaction, how did that go? How did the chemistries align?
So when I was first starting to build the technology, I was very keen to find some investors who were plugged into Silicon Valley, who had that expertise, who were able to really assist me and the company with the cutting edge of tech, to make sure that we're validating that what we're building is actually something special, and that there is nothing like that out there in the Valley. And when me and Sirr spoke, I had to convince Sirr, of course, to get on board. But I think it was a perfect match for not just Sirr coming on as an investor, and I'm allowed to say that, right, Sirr, as an investor into Beem, but also with that came a huge wealth of incredible experience, specifically in product, but also in what's going on in the industry, what's going on in the Bay Area, and that was fantastic.
And an antagonist. I think that every visionary needs somebody to push back on everything and say, no, you're doing it wrong. Here's history. But more often than not, I come out a Jan champion on that front.
What I heard from you is it often feels in VR, AR, like the future's almost here, almost. Just give it 3 more years or 4 or 5 more, but we're gonna be there, and we just need to invest more than you're saying with Beem. Something you can use today. What do you think are the best use cases? Where can you use Beem? Where does it make sense?
Well, I mean, this is something that I push on constantly with Jan, and I am somebody who believes in the grand vision, but who really insists on the user defining its evolution. And so that question, I think keeps Jan up at night, and myself also. I think that you mentioned sort of the staleness that comes and goes with virtual experiences. When I was working at Sega in 2003, we were all wondering why the full body suits and complete immersive stuff wasn't done yet. Later, Microsoft executives put millions and tens of millions of dollars into spaces that you could enter to achieve that experience, and then that didn't happen. And then it went on to VR headsets, and everybody said, no, it's got to be AR because there's got to be this connection to the world. So the truth is, none of it is stale. It is something we are so attached to as a civilization. There's so many different folks that want to see it emerge, that our impatience is a really, really good sign. I mean, I would definitely say, if you put it up to nuclear fusion, we're moving very, very, very quickly. But I think the successes are much more achievable and are occurring now. So I think the fact that Beem took the position of, hey, we don't have to go full volumetric to deliver the meaningful experience. What we need to do is capture the imagination and also the novelty of mobility unencumbered as we communicate in this novel form. Like that is really a special thing. And and I think that's the next kind of context shift that's going to happen. It's where are the wearables? Well, what are the wearables? I mean, maybe in the end all of this gets projected on our retinas, who knows. But I think that right now you can use Beem to have a novel interaction with somebody that creates a sense of intimacy very quickly with no special hardware over existing networks and bandwidth availability. So that in itself is powerful. I think the general categories of use case I would divide into and say one of them is communication. If that's in the context of social communication, social media, fine. If it's in the context of highly private, very personal communication, probably better. And then the other one I would say is in sort of AR layering and, becoming a part of evolving AR presentations. And those are the two primary use cases.
You also mentioned in your slightly tongue-in-cheek self-description, you are a frustrated creative. Now, in a parallel universe, how would your creativity burst and unfold?
Without effort, I mean, I think that the limitation on creativity is often and most frequently self-doubt. And what being a creative means to me is the ability to suspend disbelief for the purpose of achieving a better concrete reality. So in order to make that shift from an idea or an emotion driving creativity to a place where you have concretely expressed that, you need to suspend disbelief, and you need to just take your leap. And so I think that in that parallel universe where I go frequently, and have been going since I was sitting in a classroom daydreaming about this stuff as a kid, it happens without that terrible step of having to consciously and with intention suspend disbelief and quiet self-doubt.
I wish, Jan, somebody had told me during my days at school that you can use the time to daydream creatively and use it even more effectively. This is too late, Sirr. Thank you so much, though. This was amazing. And I hope my next house is a yurt. Thank you so much.
Take care. It's nice to see you all.
Cheers.